What's going on, everybody? It is Saturday, and just giving a little drive update. So where I am, up in Albany County, New York, the capital up here. Obviously, and around the country, the big news, especially this week, has been this coronavirus. Just this week, we had a few cases already confirmed here in our county. We've had interesting, people raiding the stores, schools, at least shutting down, some of them just for a week now, but who knows, could be for longer. We've had, on a national level, we've had everything from the NBA to NCAA, a bunch of sports getting shut down. We've had governments, limiting, the gatherings, to the certain numbers, whether it's 500 or 250 or what have you. We've had St. Patrick's Day parades getting canceled. We've had just a number of things, and the cases are rising. On a federal level, we do see that the federal government seems to be working together. They're trying to step up and ramp up the testing that hasn't been maybe available the way it needs to be at this point. But you know what? We've got the resources, and now we've just got to do the right thing, and it looks like we are, even if we were a little bit slow to the game. Better late than never, and we hope that the number of cases hasn't spiraled out of control, which will make whatever comes up in the future potentially more difficult to deal with. On a positive note, but the jury's still out, is what happens when the weather gets nicer. We're in the middle of March here, and I can tell you, it's already warming up. We've got few days, even in the last month, we've probably had people out in shorts and t-shirts. So what happens to this virus when the weather gets warmer? Just heard something today, study potentially out that links this pretty well to humidity and warm weather, that there's correlation, there's a range. So maybe as the weather gets warmer and more humid, perhaps this thing starts to have some seasonality and reduce in spread. Other coronaviruses such as MERS and SARS, I guess, seem to have suggested that. The influenza virus, they seem to have some seasonality. So it's a little too soon to tell. One more thing is a study, I guess, came out on the recovered patients. Again, a lot of these numbers, it's a moving situation dynamic. We don't really know the numbers for sure. Right over here, that's Grace Fellowship Church, which I'm passing. I guess they're still having services tonight, but they're limiting to 250 people. I guess the question is, should you really be gathering in large groups at all at this point? But some are, some aren't. And I know it's probably tough for certain things. There's necessities. Life needs to keep moving, but at the same time, you've got religious havens, spiritual sanctuaries, churches, etc. And people are gonna have to start to make decisions. Looks like the gas prices are going down, but ever so slightly. Is it a good idea to go to your gym? These are all questions we gotta ask ourselves. But anyways, back to this recovered cases. So it appears that the numbers we're hearing of, obviously, if you're not testing, then you don't know. There could be a lot more people that just got it and then ended up, had mild symptoms or didn't even know they had it, ended up recovering, and life goes on. But for the ones that do, and it seems to be somewhere between 5 and 20% complication rate. And so what happens? What happens to these folks? And some studies are coming out early on, I guess Hong Kong, suggesting that, perhaps that there is some longer term, and again, longer term, I mean, we're still only a month or two really kind of gathering data, so we don't perhaps know, but, it seems that there are some people that recovered, per se, but might still be having a lack of lung function. Some of these early studies, maybe 20 to 30%. Who knows at this point? But seems to be a lot of things that we maybe do know, but there's also seems to be a bunch of things that we don't know. And we have to stay vigilant. And I do think that for America moving forward, we are going to be in the crunch time. The next 2 to 4 weeks for sure. I think life's going to change for a lot of us. We're not used to this. If you've gone to your local supermarket, chances are, there's empty shelves, especially for some items. The paper products, the hygiene products, and I've witnessed it, and I think we're probably perhaps going to see more of that, because I do think that as we test more, we're going to get more cases, and we're going to need to do more social distancing, and I think it'll become more and more real to people of what's going on. I mean, the goal here, and I'll wrap this video up, the goal moving forward is to flatten the curve. Flatten the curve. So what does that mean? Well, if you look at what's happening now, we have an exponential progression here in the United States, is what we believe, and in some of these other countries. And what that means is one case goes to 2, goes to 4, goes to 8, goes to 16, 32, 64, 128. And before you know it, you find yourself you have a lot of cases very quickly, and you can go from small amounts of cases, hundreds or thousands, into the tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands in a relatively quick period of time if you don't practice social distancing and really slow this down and flatten the curve. And why do we want to do that? We want to do that so we don't overwhelm our medical facilities, and we don't put just a lot of people in harm's way unnecessarily. And if we do these things and we flatten the curve, we will have a much better chance of managing this crisis as we move forward. Doesn't mean that the cases will go away right away. Hopefully we'll get some seasonality when the warmer weather hits, but we don't know that yet, and so we have to deal with what is here now, and we're doing the right thing by getting testing. So let's stay strong, stay positive, stay informed. Nothing to panic about, but it's a serious endeavor, and we ought to treat it that way. And let's stay informed, stay tuned, and in the next few weeks we'll see what happens with the amount of tests that are getting taken, the numbers, and how we deal with that in the medical side. And also we want to look at the economic side. What happens if people need to stay home from work, or what do they do if kids aren't in school. So we'll have to look at that. But for now, stay tuned, stay positive, stay informed, and that's all we can do. Say some prayers. All right, folks, take it easy.